Hey, you. Yeah, you. Did you know that everything you want, food, a house, a new car, or at least a phone with a better camera, that's exactly why economics exists. Yeah, economics isn't about boring charts and old men in suits. It's about why you can't get everything you want. Look, the world is huge, and there seem to be plenty of resources. But there's never enough of everything. Not enough food, oil, apartments, or patience at the checkout. That's scarcity, the main problem of economics. If everything were infinite, we wouldn't need economics. But no. So, we have to choose. Economics is simply the science of choice, when there's not enough of everything, but too many desires. But everything on sale? Congratulations. Now, until payday, it's a financial diet. You're watching this video. That means you're not watching another show about rich, sad people. That's your opportunity cost. Now, let's move on. People realize that if you have apples and I have bananas, we can trade. I get a banana, you get an apple, and we're both happy. That's trade. And it works even when no one's a superhero. The main thing is that everyone is at least a bit better, or just a little less bad, at something. That's called comparative advantage. Even if you're not the best, you can still be useful. Nice, right? From this, markets were born. A place where people exchange everything. Goods, services, ideas, even nostalgia for the 2010s. In the market, everything revolves around incentives. If pizza costs $100, nobody buys it. If it's $1, everyone does. Prices make us act. That's economics in motion, supply and demand. When demand rises, prices climb. When there's too much supply, prices drop. Simple magic, or as Adam Smith said, the invisible hand of the market. No magic really, just people, numbers, and the will to survive. But you know what made trade easier? Money. Without it, we'd still be trying to trade goats for Wi-Fi. Money isn't just paper or numbers on a screen. It's a universal thing everyone agrees on. You want coffee? You pay with money. You want a house? You pay with money. It makes exchange quick and clear. Aside, joking, and by the way, it plays three roles: a medium of exchange, a unit of value, and a store of value. You could say money is like lubrication for the economy. Without it, everything would jam.
Then came banks. They take deposits, give out loans, and earn from interest. So you deposit your money, they lend it to someone else, that person pays it back with extra, and the bank takes its cut. And if you want to buy a house, a car, or even a PlayStation, credit comes to the rescue. Sounds convenient, until everyone decides to borrow at the same time. Then banks start to panic, and hello, crisis! Let's see how all this is measured. There's this thing called GDP, or Gross Domestic Product. It's just the sum of all goods and services produced in a country in a year. But they only count final goods, not the flour and the bread, just the bread. So there's no double counting. GDP can be calculated in different ways, but the idea is the same. The higher it is, the more stuff the economy makes. Although honestly, it's not always about happiness. You can have a huge GDP and still be miserable. But for comparing countries, it works. Now about growth. When GDP grows, the economy is booming. When it drops, that's a recession. If it's really bad, that's a depression. Prices, production, employment all go down, and the news gets more depressing than the ending of Game of Thrones. Sometimes the economy overheats. People buy everything, money's everywhere, goods are short, and warning, inflation. Prices go up, money loses value, and suddenly your coffee costs as much as your first iPhone. And if this speeds up, we get hyperinflation, like in Zimbabwe, where a $100 trillion bill couldn't even buy lunch.
Who decides how much money should exist? That's the job of central banks like the Federal Reserve in the US or the European Central Bank. They control money and interest rates. If rates are high, borrowing is expensive. The economy cools down. If rates are low, borrowing is cheap. Everyone spends. The economy heats up. This dance is called monetary policy. Sounds fancy, but really it's like turning a faucet. Open up or tighten the flow of money.
When normal measures don't work, banks perform a trick called quantitative easing. They buy assets to pump money into the economy, basically printing money, just in Excel. Now, let's talk about everyone's least favorite topic, taxes. Yep, those chunks of your paycheck that go to roads, schools, the army, and bureaucracy. Taxes come in all shapes: income, sales, property, and even bad habits like alcohol and fuel. Some systems make the rich pay more, progressive. Others take the same percent from everyone, flat. Sounds fair? Depends who you ask. If the government spends more than it collects in taxes, there's a budget deficit. To cover it, it borrows, issuing bonds. You buy them, basically lending money to the state. All those debts add up to what's called national debt. And yeah, the US has been living on a giant credit card for decades. By the way, debt isn't always bad. If money goes to roads, schools, and tech, great. But if it funds election promises and useless projects, well, expect trouble. But the economy doesn't end borders. Every country is good at something. Japan, cars. Brazil, coffee. Germany, beer. They trade, that's international trade. Each one does what it's best at and gains. That's comparative advantage in action. Free trade lowers prices, expands choice, makes everyone richer. Well, almost everyone. Because when factories move overseas, someone at home loses a job. And voila, new talk show topic. To trade, you need currencies. If the US buys Japanese cars, it needs yen, not dollars. That's where exchange rates come in. How much one currency is worth compared to another. Rates can float, like in the US, or be fixed, like in some oil countries. If a currency falls, exports rise, but imports get pricier. If it strengthens, the opposite. Balance in all things, like in Star Wars, just without the Jedi.
Now, some philosophy. Why are some countries rich and others always catching up? The answer, productivity. The more goods and services you can make in the same time, the richer the country. Add education, technology, stability, and fair laws, success guaranteed. But if there's corruption, war, and broken roads, sorry, no amount of investment will help. And of course, there's human behavior. Economics assumes we're rational. In reality, we're weird creatures. We take loans to buy stuff we don't need with money we don't have. We hate losing more than we love winning. And we do dumb things just because everyone's doing it. That's behavioral economics, the science of why people are people. Finally, economic systems. There's capitalism, freedom, markets, competition, but also inequality. Socialism, equality, but less motivation. Communism, everything's shared, but no bread. And then there's the mixed economy, where almost everyone lives. Private business, public programs, taxes, and freedom. A balance between chaos and order. So, to sum it up, the world is limited, desires are not. Every choice has a price. Trade drives progress. Money is just a tool of trust. Government is the eternal accountant, and economics is one huge game where the stakes are your life, your work, and your Starbucks breakfast. So next time you hear economics, don't yawn. It's not just about numbers. It's about you, me, and why avocado toast cost $14. If you made it to the end, respect. Hit that like button or inflation will eat your savings faster than TikTok eats your evening.